It's being billed as the biggest change to Britain's immigration policy in a generation. The Home Secretary, Priti Patel, has published proposals for a points-based visa system, which she said people had voted for in the EU referendum and subsequent elections. So how is it going to work? Well, under the new rules, which come into force next January, people who want to come here to work must reach 70 points. There are 3 essential requirements. The applicant must be able to speak English, that's worth 10 points. He or she must have a job offer, which is worth another 20 points. And that job needs to be what's called an appropriate skill level. If it is, you get another 20 points. And if the salary is above £25,600, that's worth a further 20 points and the crucial total of 70. However, if the job pays less, you can still get points for other things such as qualifications. Now, it's important to remember that people who are already here, or come to Britain before next January, are not affected by this new scheme. Here's our chief political correspondent, Vicky Young.
Who should be allowed into the UK and what jobs should they do? It was a contentious part of our membership of the EU, but from next year, British ministers will decide. This building site in Essex employs people from across the world. In future, it'll be more difficult for lower skilled migrants to come here unless officials decide there's a shortage in a particular sector. And who qualifies as a skilled worker? Here, a plasterer or a carpenter would, but a labourer wouldn't. And the boss of this firm says it'll make it harder to build the homes people want.
We've never met the housing target, and we're certainly not going to meet it now. And previously it was an open door policy to a certain degree. We still found it difficult to meet the needs of the housing market. So it's just going to get worse and worse, and our business won't grow like it could grow.
What the ministers are saying today is that companies like yours have relied too heavily on cheap labour from the EU, and that's got to change.
I don't know where that concept comes from, that it's all about cheap labour. It's not. It's about a skill shortage. It's about jobs which the British people do not want to do. That's the bottom line.
But ministers say companies need a different approach.
Our business has a fantastic opportunity to work with this new government to level up across the United Kingdom, invest in people, to use innovation, technology, invest in skills across all sectors, and I mean every single sector.
The government's plans have been met with dire warnings from many businesses, those in construction, hospitality and the care sector. But ministers believe they're responding to what many voters really want: control over UK borders with the flexibility to attract those that the economy really needs. In Basildon, some think there will be local people willing to replace migrant workers. There are some industries saying we need people, like labourers, on building sites, and we won't be able to get them.
Well, I mean, you know, I know they want to focus on sort of more skilled jobs, and that's fine. I think there's a big opportunity for anyone in this country who's looking for work to take up the kind of jobs that you've mentioned as well.
I mean, you look at the roadworks that's going on. There's a lot going on in this area, but how many of them are English workers? Not many.
And why do you think that is?
Because they take a lot lower wage.
Opposition parties say the new plans are unrealistic.
The government's error is to assume that just because your job is relatively low paid, it's not important and it's not of value. And there are going to be difficulty, particularly with people wanting to fill entry-level positions.
It'll be bad for workers and migrant workers as well, and it'll be absolutely awful for Scotland because, of course, we face particular demographic and economic challenges, and this policy is wholly unfit for their needs.
For years, the Conservatives have promised to reduce immigration. We'll soon know whether they've achieved that and what impact it's had on the economy. Vicky Young, BBC News, Essex.
What ministers have tried to do with this new visa system is to find a balance between getting the skilled workers the economy needs while limiting the flow of those seeking low-skilled or low-paid jobs. But there's a challenge. Some low-paid workers carry out jobs we all think of as valuable. Farm labourers and care workers are a good example of that. Our business editor Simon Jack has been looking at how the new scheme could affect the wider economy.
Hi ladies, how are you doing?
Oh, amazing, thank you.
The hospitality industry relies on extending a warm welcome to customers from all over the world. It is also the part of the economy most reliant on foreign workers, many of them low paid.
I've got the pina colada. and the gender is a...
Yaroslav, or Jerry, is a Czech-born bar manager at the Oldie Bell Hotel in Retford, Nottinghamshire.
I feel sad about it. I would like to know who actually described the job as a low skill, because I've got 5-year college in hospitality. I get loads of experiences throughout my career. I was serving meal to the President of the Czech Republic, which that's not very low skill job. And as a cheap labour, I don't think there is such a thing as a cheap labour.
Of the staff that work in hospitality, 20% were born outside the UK, 13% of them from the EU. Manufacturing, which includes food processing, has 14% foreign-born workers, 11% from the EU, while health and social care relies for 10% of its workforce on foreign-born workers, split evenly between the EU and non-EU. Social care may face particular challenges, as although the work is often skilled, it is very often low paid. There are currently 122,000 vacancies in the sector, and there are fears that a shortage of workers will mean a shortage of care.
Care homes are either going to have to reduce the number of clients that they take in, and if that's not economically effective, then you'll see more care homes closing down.
There is perhaps no other issue where hopes and fears around Brexit clash with more resonance than immigration. The government hopes that by weaning businesses off an inexhaustible supply of low-skilled labour, that will mean more investment, higher wages and a more productive economy. Businesses fear that with such a short time frame, existing skill shortages will become even more acute. Concerns that unfettered immigration has led to great demands on public services are arguably offset that delivery of those services is very dependent on immigrant labour. However, the government is removing the limit on the number of high-skilled workers who can work in the UK. Good news for some sectors.
What we like is removing the cap on global talent so that we can access the talent we need from around the world to drive the tech sector, which is growing 6 times faster than the rest of the economy, Simon.
Hello ladies, you okay there?
Most of us want a high-wage, high-skill economy, but committing to getting there in 11 months' time is taking a very ambitious economic plunge.